how do you explain to anybody that you would do anything to keep your life?
Welcome back to this series where we are profiling the people who used and exploited Jessie Lee Ward throughout her cancer journey and her unfortunate death. This is part 3 to a multi-part series, so if you haven't watched the first 2 parts, you probably should, but these can all be watched out of order, so stay here and then check out the other ones afterwards. So far in the series, we have uncovered that Jessie Lee Ward has given a lot of money to a lot of people who didn't have her best interests in mind. You wouldn't say that about her doctors, though, right?
Wrong!
Well, I hate to tell you this, but in my opinion, I would say that the people who took advantage of Jessie Lee Ward the worst during her cancer journey and exploited her financially are the people that she considered to be her healthcare providers. And we're not talking about MD Anderson or other prestigious and well-known oncologists and cancer treatment centers. If you are someone who followed Jessie Lee Ward in her cancer journey from the beginning, you probably remember hearing her famous chemo pimps rant.
My surgeon and the oncologist are 100% pimps, not of women, of chemo. They really love that hoe. They really love her. They love her. She is it for them. They just want to get those commishy-mishies, and they don't care who dies. I mean, okay, maybe they do care who dies. I shouldn't say that. But I will just tell you guys, I have never in my life seen such a strong and compelling sales pitch. They really should go into sales. I don't know if any nurses are watching this. If you have a nurse you love, if you love, like, y'all are amazing, okay? Not so sure about the doctors, not so sure about the chemotherapy pimps.
After hearing her suggest that the surgeon who performed emergency life-saving surgery on her was only recommending chemotherapy because he'd be paid a commission, it probably won't surprise you to hear that she made the decision not to go through chemotherapy and radiation, which is the widely recognized standard of care. And it's exactly what her team of actual oncologists told her that she needed. And to be fair, she did have every right to make that decision for herself. And while researching this video, I found myself constantly being like, man, I wish this had worked out for her. I really do. She was so hopeful. And if all of the things that she was doing, all the junk that was sold to her, that she bought, all of these wild treatments, if they were all working, like, you could absolutely do a case study on this woman, and there'd probably be so much to learn, and it would be a scientific innovation, and the world would be better for it. But unfortunately for Jessie Lee, all of the manifesting in the world was not enough to change how the human body works. Jessie Lee may be convinced that she's not normal, but let's just let her cancer journey serve as a reminder that the holistic and alternative treatment industry is almost entirely just a money-sucking scam that preys on vulnerable people with terminal or chronic illnesses like Jessie Lee. Hi, Pippi. Take your doctor's advice. Do not listen to these quacks. They're grifters, and they're making a ton of money by selling people false hope. It is so wild to me to hear people get so angry at doctors for making money, or even if they were getting a kickback from getting someone to do chemotherapy, it's like, if it's effective, who cares? If your issue is the people giving you medical care are getting paid for it, like, it doesn't make sense to just choose the alternative medicine industry instead, because they're making money too. That's a multi-billion-dollar industry also. To be clear though, I mean, where I and most critics have a problem is where she made this healing naturally from stage 4 cancer thing like her brand. And since she has social media accounts with hundreds of thousands of followers, most of them are impressionable people who have already fallen for the multi-level marketing industry, network marketing, who looked to Jessie Lee for wisdom and guidance in their network marketing journey. Like, the people who followed her, most of them anyway, took her word as gospel. So God forbid one of them ever finds out that they have cancer and then decide not to go through what their doctors recommend because, oh, well, Jessie Lee didn't do that. Jessie Lee's cancer journey is a roller coaster of false medical claims, the manipulation of a terminally ill cancer patient, and honestly, just false hope in general. So it's a lot. Stay tuned for all that. But before we get into it, I just want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Raycon. We've all heard of Raycon by now, right? If you're like me, you've seen a bazillion and a half ads for these little guys. And honestly, I can't believe that I put off trying Raycon for so long. They're premium wireless earbuds. Look at them. I'm doing like the influencer thing with my hand. Ooh, look. They offer amazing audio quality at half the price of other premium audio brands. They fit fantastically with their optimized gel tips, and they're designed to actually stay there. Whether you're on a Pokemon hunt or you're just out and about running errands or, you know, whatever it is you do. I like to use them while I'm walking to pick my daughter up from school because when the cars go zooming by, I usually can't hear my phone speaker over them. And I won't let all of those zoomy boys distract me from listening to the comedy genius of the McElroy brothers. That background noise is no match for Raycon though. So they feature noise isolation, which like I have that mode on right now and I'm like, I can only hear my voice. But if I long press here, it's like awareness mode is on. And now I can like hear what's going on around me. I can hear Pippi purring again because that's loud. So you can turn this mode on and off with just the long press of the earbud, which I think is really cool. They're sweat and water resistant, which for me is a big deal because I live in Arizona and it's about to be summer. We sweat a lot here and we spend a lot of time in the pool during the summer. So I don't have to worry about an accidental drop in the pool or anything like that. Raycon earbuds are built to withstand that kind of little slip up there. And with 8 hours of playtime and 32 hours of battery life from the charging case, you can always count on Raycon earbuds to be there for all of your listening desires. The best part is that you can get all of these features I just got done telling you about at an affordable cost. And if you use my link down below, they can be even more affordable. Click the link in the description box or go to buyraycon.com/Savannah Marie to get 20% off your Raycon purchase plus free shipping. Thank you again, Raycon, for sponsoring this video. Just gonna put these little guys back in their case. They just click right in there. Easy. I love my Raycons. But anyway, okay, let's get back into the Boss Lee madness. Before her devastating diagnosis, Jessie Lee was already pretty crunchy, meaning that she was kind of into that woo-woo, natural, alternative lifestyle pseudoscience type of crap. She had been using Kangen water for about 4 years, which by the way, Kangen, well, it's Energic, I think is how you say the name of the company, but the water machine is called Kangen. Anyway, it's an MLM, and the reps regularly say that their water machines legitimately will prevent you from getting cancer. Like every health claim under the sun, Kangen has made it. And Jessie Lee's been using one of those machines for 4 years prior to her diagnosis. So what does that tell you?
It tells you that MLM products are BS.
I've been drinking Kangen water for like 5 years, guys. So please don't speak to people that sell it and say, you'll never get cancer. Lies, 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 lies. Okay? That's why people give MLMs a bad rap.
And obviously, you know, she had been shilling MLM products for years before that, so whatever. In this TikTok video she made while she was still recovering from her initial surgery, so like basically the very beginning of her cancer journey, she says that she's very anti-chemo and anti-radiation before pathology even comes back.
The other questions I saw a lot about was about chemo and radiation. We won't know anything until pathology comes back either today or tomorrow, and I'll update you guys on that. But then the other thing is, like, I'm very anti all of that for reasons. I didn't even give my dog chemo when she had cancer. I took a holistic route, and so I did buy a hyperbaric chamber. For those that didn't see, I did take stem cells on the Friday before surgery. I will fly to Costa Rica to get more stem cells, like the deeper, crazier stem cells. Doing oxygen treatments, magnetic treatments, and red light therapy and all kinds of ozone treatments, all kinds of stuff like that.
Let's be honest, she came into this cancer journey being anti-chemo. Was there ever really a possibility that she would be persuaded to do chemotherapy for herself? In my opinion, no. I think she already had her mind made up. God, I accidentally touched Pippi's butthole. Yeah, that's right. Get your brown star out of my face. Anyway, I'll say this again. It's her body, her choice, okay? She had every right to make that decision for herself. Even though in hindsight, had she went through the treatments that her oncologists and legitimate doctors told her she needed to do to save her life, she'd probably still be here now. Maybe she wouldn't have as much hair, but like she'd still be here. Probably, anyway. Still though, it was her choice. Again though, the problem does come in when you have a huge audience and those people are extremely impressionable and you use your platform platform to spread dangerous and, quite honestly, deadly misinformation. She was also involved with a doctor who goes by the name Dr. D. I think that's how you pronounce it anyway. And he owns the company called Biohacks. Yeah, she was a regular customer at a company called Biohacks before she even knew she had cancer. So that in and of itself should be enough to tell you that this place offers services and products that are not backed by the basic principles of science and modern medicine, and they're generally ineffective in actually benefiting anyone's health or prolonging anyone's life, in my opinion, from what I can see from the outside. I'm not a medical professional, so I don't know for sure, but all signs point to... Anyway, so really quickly, Dr. D, the founder of Biohacks, did in fact go to medical school. However, he's not a board-certified medical professional because he decided to go the more holistic grifter route. His biography on the Biohacks website says in capital letters that he does not practice medicine. Instead, he calls himself a disruptor, an innovator of the healthcare industry. So he's a scam artist, plain and simple. He's a scammer who scammed the scammer that was Jessie Lee Ward. You reap what you sow and all that. The Biohacks website is plastered with buzzwords like gut health, detox, age reversal, heavy metals, and misspelling of words like neurotransmitters. I haven't said that out loud until right now. I just wrote it into my script. Naruo! It reminds me of Billy Madison when he's trying to spell risotto and she's like, Rarudo. Sorry. Rarudo?
I hate cursive and I hate all of you!
Okay. And then medial instead of medical. Clearly a lot of work went into this website. But all of these buzzwords appearing in the same place is red flag number 1 out of a bazillion. So shortly after her cancer diagnosis, Jessie Lee went live showing us all of the injections that she was giving herself like on a daily basis and all of her supplements and stuff too. And all of this is presumably provided to her by Biohacks. And it's so much.
I have a doctor. My doctor is prescribes.
My doctor. Oh, here we go. Here we go. We're screenshotting this. Let's go.
Here's my needles. Okay, I don't know why I have this many needles for this week, but here's my my needles and my alcohol pads. This goes in my butthole.
My butthole. Your butt muscle.
Not my butthole. Where's my? Look at this. Look at my geriatric status. Look how many vitamins I take.
Holy moly.
The Biohacks website has an entire page about peptide therapy, and Jessie Lee has been a vocal supporter and believer of this peptide therapy stuff.
I was using peptides, which I love. I'm a big fan of peptides. If you're not already familiar, you can check out, I can refer you to some people, honestly, in the peptide space that are really amazing and incredible people. I love peptides. I love biohacking. I love all this stuff, and I was very familiar with the world, and so, you know, I felt like I was in good hands.
And since we know that she had been going to Biohacks and seeing Dr. D for months prior to her cancer diagnosis, I can only assume that she got this extensive and wildly ridiculous regimen from them. In the live, you can see she's in a hotel room, so this is clearly just the supply she brought with her for traveling. She also showed us her supply of supplements that she was traveling with as well. And watching this video now is super haunting. Well, I mean, all of these are in their own way. But this one in particular, she's like talking about how healthy she is, while in this very moment, her body was being ravaged by stage 4 cancer and she had no idea.
You're so healthy. I'm like, you think I'm fucking right? I'm healthy. I'm taking more vitamins than your great fucking grandmother, okay? Like, I better be healthy.
Like, at the point of the video that I was just showing you, she was weeks away from her diagnosis. And to hear her talk about how healthy she was is just horrifying. If that doesn't scare you, I don't know what does. Like I've mentioned in previous episodes, Jessie Lee's cancer journey, her diagnosis and her death, changed me as a person, dude. Like, if I had the money, I would go get a full body MRI, but I don't have the money to do that. But I mean, literally, she was 2 years older than I am right now, and that scares the ever-living hell out of me, that like cancer could just be growing in my body and you wouldn't know, dude. It's scary. It's scary. Anyway, Say Hello to DC has a live video reacting to this live from Jessie, and she goes through each injection and she finds out how much each one costs. Jessie Lee was easily throwing away thousands of dollars per month on these products. And from what I can tell, as with most of these fountain of youth trends, peptide therapy is proven to be effective in very specific uses, but the use of peptides to biohack and prolong your life and all of that isn't proven by science. It requires so much more research and so much more knowledge than we have on it right now to be able to say anything like that. So, I mean, it sounds like anybody who is receiving peptide treatments that are not prescribed by a legitimate medical professional to treat very specific conditions, you know, if it's not that, they're just another victim of the scammy naturopathic health and wellness industry. It sounds like Biohacks is generally just a scam in and of itself, in my opinion. But the thousands that she was spending on peptide injections and whatever else she was taking, well, those were the least of her financial worries when it comes to Biohacks. So this place charged Jessie Lee Ward, a terrified, newly diagnosed, terminally ill cancer patient, over $50,000 for a regimen because they knew they could get away with it.
But what matters when you realize your life is in danger? Nothing except for your life. It was like, oh, we'll call doctors, we'll get everything handled. They put together this plan. This is really where that happened. They said, we're gonna put together this medical plan for you and we're gonna help you as much as possible right away. I said, put the protocol together, you know, give me peptides that boost your immune system and all, like whatever they were telling me, because I really believe in this peptide stuff. I did not even look at the invoice, guys, until I had already said, run it, just run it. Like, I feel like I'm fighting for my life, just run it. Turns out, yeah, they ran it. They overpriced things by about 12 times. They also included an $11,000 doctor fee from somebody I'd already been working with for 9 months. And it was $55,000. I can show you the invoice. And before anything even came, I went, you know what? We don't even have an actual diagnosis. I don't want the product anymore. I want to talk to an oncologist. I want to see a doctor before we make any medical decisions moving forward. And they said, oh, we can't do that. Like, that's against our business model. Meanwhile, I'd already referred countless people to their clinic, which is very expensive. They had already made a ton of money off of me. And now immediately, boom, this is one of the first times I went, oh, you care way more about my money than me surviving this. And so I severed relationship with that doctor. I don't talk about this doctor. I don't use the name. I don't tag him. I don't say anything, whatever. But that's the truth of all of it. Here's the invoice, just transparency. There you go.
She came to them and she said, hey, I just found out I have stage 4 colon cancer. What can you do for me? And they sucked over $50,000 out of her for basically nothing. Let's be honest here. She shared the invoice with this person who appears to have at least some medical knowledge, because they say that the same order of products, when you get it from another source, would probably only run between $6,000 to $8,000. Biohacks charged her $11,000 just to have a consultation with Dr. D. And she wasn't even a new patient of his. She'd been seeing him for months. So it is my opinion that this man and his company knowingly scammed a dying woman out of $50,000 just because they knew they could get away with it. They preyed on her vulnerability before her diagnosis, probably making hundreds of thousands of dollars from her in those 9 months that she was working with them before the cancer diagnosis, by claiming that they can biohack her body into performing at its greatest potential. And it's just all lies. They had no interest in healing her. They just had interest in her bank account. They, among so many other people in Jessie Lee's life, were only interested in milking her for everything they possibly could. So she thankfully cut off ties with Dr. D and Biohacks after this incident, but that wasn't the end of her being taken advantage of by people who claimed to be able to cure her cancer with natural remedies. After she left Biohacks, she had an appointment at the Kotsanis Institute of Functional Medicine, where they taught her about supposed cancer treatments like colloidal silver, high vitamin C IV drips, oxidative therapy, and more. She didn't end up working with them though, because the doctor that she had her initial consultation with decided to retire after that. But what she did do there, however, was pay for a test that, if you've watched any of Jessie Lee's cancer videos, you've heard her talk about this. It's called the Greek test, or it also goes by its actual name, the Onconomics Plus blood test. It's more commonly known as the Greek test, probably because it's easier to say, so that's what we're gonna call it. Anyway, yeah, it's my understanding that you can't just go to a hospital or a legitimate medical practice and be like, I would like the Greek test, please. Most of them don't do it. So you go to these alternative medicine places. Oh, and then you pay them $2,500 for this. if not more. But anyway, what does that $2,500 price tag get you? Well, you get your blood drawn first, and according to Jessie Lee, it's a lot of blood. Or depending on what kind of cancer you have, sometimes they require a tissue sample, and then they ship it overnight to some place in Greece, which is why they call it the Greek test, where they test the samples that you send them with all the different kinds of cancer treatments out there, all the different kinds of chemotherapy, but also all that alternative bullshit as well.
I have a Greek test tomorrow at the Costanzas Institute, which I'm really excited about. Basically, they're going to take my exact cancer and they're going to go in the country Greece and put all kinds of different treatments against it and see what my cancer specifically is healed by.
The idea is they want to test to see what will effectively kill the cancer in your body the best. But mind you, this is obviously done in a lab environment, like practically a petri dish, if you will. So yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly how the procedure goes. All I know is that they split up all the samples and they throw it in with whatever treatments there are, and then they record the results and send them back to you. Both chemotherapy and radiation, and also homeopathic remedies. So what Jessie Lee's test results came back with is that allegedly the most effective way to kill her cancer is with frankincense and turmeric. So that's what she did.
So this doctor who told me I needed to do Folfox and Avastin at MD Anderson, because you gotta hit it 2 ways. Avastin only works, I think it's 30%. I'll pull up my Greek test, double check. Which frankincense is just as effective. Like from doTERRA or Young Living. Go buy your essential oils. Go support anti-mlm. Thank you. Okay, it's just as effective, at least in the cancer that's living in me. Colloidal silver, killing this mofo. Curcumin and turmeric, killing it. There's so much stuff. There is one of the chemotherapies in all of the chemotherapies. Folfox is a blend of 5, I believe. One is effective against the cancer that has decided to inhabit me. Yet I'm gonna kill off, like I think so much of beating cancer is you have to understand cancer's an MFer, and you have to be a bigger MFer before you just jump in and leap in and okay, give me the chemo, give me the chemo, give me the chemo. Just do what's best for you. I'm thankful I did that test because it really, really empowered me in a very big way to take a different route with this.
I shouldn't have to say this, but there is very obviously a difference between throwing some cancer cells in a lab environment, let's say a petri dish if that's what they're doing, and then putting some drops of essential oil in there, putting a bunch of turmeric and curcumin or whatever. Like, there is a difference between that and then like being a person with those same cancer cells growing in your body and eating frankincense and turmeric to kill it. Like, there's a difference. The lab environment is not the same as a living human body. Like, the two can't be compared, and I think that's probably why most medical professionals don't do this test, because it's expensive, and I think especially in Jessie Lee's case, it can provide some results that might convince a vulnerable and scared cancer patient not to go through with chemotherapy and just eat frankincense instead, and that's what Jessie Lee did. In my opinion, it's $2,500 wasted on a test that ultimately did her more harm than good. Because if she hadn't gotten this test, if she hadn't been presented with test results that said frankincense will work just as good as chemotherapy, would she have decided to go through with what her doctors recommended? You know, I guess we'll never know, but there have been multiple instances where she says, like, I'm so grateful for the Greek test because once those results came back, I knew I didn't want to do chemotherapy because, like, obviously frankincense is easier on the body than killing everything in my body with chemotherapy. Like, yeah, I think that Greek test has a lot of responsibility on influencing Jessie Lee not to get chemotherapy.
So the frankincense, how I've been taking this. First of all, I've been encapsulating it. So I bought a bunch of little vegan capsules off of Amazon, and I encapsulate 3 drops. I take that 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, and night is the first way I use it. Second thing I do is I actually put it on my stomach. I'll show you where. I don't know if it matters. But I put it up here, which is where the lymph nodes are that are affected by it. I actually put it in my belly button because I don't know. And then I do put it down here, which is where the tumor was. So I just kind of like slather and make sure it gets in these areas. Then I actually put it on the bottoms of my feet just because I was told to, and also it makes sense because a lot of the times when you're doing detoxes and stuff like that, you're pulling the stuff out of your feet. So I rub it on my feet twice a day, stomach twice a day, encapsulate 3 times a day. Now keep in mind, frankincense works really well for the cancer that is currently and temporarily taking up space in my body. I don't think it hurts anybody, obviously, so it's a great idea to take it anyhow. And then I cannot recommend that RGCC Greek test enough. I'm so thankful I did it. It's given me a lot of peace.
On April 22nd, 2023, Jessie Lee made this post to her Instagram, and part of the caption claims that she had already, by that point, only about 2 months after her diagnosis, spent $250,000 out of pocket for all of her treatments and testing so far. Although some of that probably was her surgery and other modern medicine as well, like testing and stuff. That was in April. Like, her diagnosis was the end of February, and as of April, she had already spent $250,000 out of pocket. And by then, that was pretty much the end of her time in the world of modern medicine. It was only the beginning of all of the alternative treatments that she would be going through over the next few months. I knew the moment I got the colonoscopy, my whole life had to change, and so it has. I write this from treatment. I've spent over $250,000 out of pocket so far on everything from testing to treatments and dentist work and supplements and stem cells and extra doctors and everything in between. She also spent some time at this place in Frisco, Texas called Cryo. They actually have a lot of locations nationwide. There's like multiple in the state I live in, which is kind of concerning. But they straight up posted a video of hers on their Instagram the day before she died, showing her receiving an ozone treatment in their facility. So in this TikTok, Jessie Lee claims that she was getting ozone therapy every day?
So I have a biocharger in my house. I have a hyperbaric chamber in my house. I have been getting ozone every single day.
I went online. I pretended I wanted an appointment just to see what the cost of this stuff was at one of my local branches at Cryo. And for a 60-minute ozone session, it's $399. I mean, maybe she was over-exaggerating how often she was getting it. Maybe she wasn't getting it every day, although maybe she was. Like, even if she was doing this just a few times a week, she was easily spending thousands of dollars at this place weekly. She also mentions that she gets an IV of a high dose of vitamin C, and all of their IV services run between $199 and $269 per session. She also mentions getting red light therapy, which they also offer at Cryo for $49 per session.
My IVs yesterday for ozone and for vitamin C, I get 3 vitamin C drips a week with 75,000 milligrams of vitamin C to boost my immune system. Burned so bad. I was sitting there in this chair like, oh my God, get me out of here. But it's kind of good. Like, I feel like the more challenging things I do, it's really good for my mindset. So there is that, as we continue to beat cancer. Yes, beat cancer. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's safe to say that she was easily spending thousands of dollars per week at this place. And just, this is speculative, but let's say, for example, like that ozone treatment and stuff, if they're like, oh, we don't recommend more than once a week for like normal people. If someone who's like rich as hell, like Jessie Lee, walks in there and goes, oh, I'm willing to pay for this every day because, you know, I'm fighting cancer. It's like, if you're willing to pay, they might be like, okay, fine. A place like that, I feel like would make an exception for a rich woman with stage 4 cancer. It's fucked up to say that, I know, but she might be telling the truth with that everyday thing, which is why I just find it so odd that this place posted a video of her on their Instagram, and then she literally passed away the following day after they had posted that video, because like, I guess that constant ozone therapy and crazy expensive IV drips didn't work, huh? But you were happy to take thousands of dollars from her while she was alive, because what you people did to her was make her believe that any of these therapies were helping and actually doing something, which they clearly were not, because hi, hello, here we are. After her time at Cryo, she met with this guy named Dr. Chase Faldmo from Healing Playbook. He's a chiropractor and he holds a certificate of completion from the Society of Toxicology and Contribution of Mitochondria to Drug-Induced Organ Toxicities. Oh my God, that is a mouthful for a certificate of completion. But okay, this dude's out here meeting with cancer patients, allegedly giving them medical advice, and then detoxing them?
Shout out to Dr. Chase Faldmo for detoxing me from the radiation for my CT scans, fixing all that crap.
Is that all the information we're gonna get here? How do you detox radiation from a CT scan? Like, what is the process in which a medical professional, quote, those are quote in quotes, does that? What's the method? I have no idea how much she paid him to do that, but I can't imagine that it was cheap. And then I also don't think that his credentials qualify him to be treating a cancer patient, but what do I know? We now live in a world where chiropractors and people with a certificate of completion are able to treat cancer. But after she met with Dr. Chase, she was actually able to get into MD Anderson, which is one of the most trusted cancer treatment centers in the country. And it specializes in modern and scientifically proven methods and treatments to treat cancer. And they were straight up with Jessie Lee. You know, sometimes bedside manner goes out the window when things are serious. The doctor at MD Anderson basically told Jessie, like, do aggressive chemo and radiation or you're gonna be dead by October. And Jessie Lee did not like this.
The doctor walks in, and I will not say his name, but I remember sitting there, again, up on one of those little chair bed things, you know. He comes in, he won't even look me in the eye. He's talking to me like this. If you do, oh no, sorry, not looking down, like this. 6 months to live, 8 months to live. If you do Folfox and Avastin, really intense, no quality of life, maybe I can get you to live 2.5 years. Okay? And I went, and that's when I go, that's when I black out. That's when I start hysterically crying. I call Aviram from my phone. He was not there. He was in California with his kids. And I completely break down. Like, this was the most aggressive crying. I don't know how you prepare yourself for a moment like that. I don't think you can. And I know Courtney started asking him questions. I know Aviram started saying stuff. I know I'm sobbing. I remember putting my head up and saying, but I'm not normal. And I said, people like me, like, you look like this and you're dead in 6 months. He goes, yes, dead in 6 to 8 months. Yes. There's no pain, doc. There's no, look at me, look at me, look at me, right? I literally, and then I'm on the phone FaceTiming Aviram, right? And he says, so, you know, before you go get the blood work, you're gonna need to sign off on the chemotherapy, okay? And I went, I have to sign off on chemotherapy before I get blood work here? No. And Aviram yells, she is not making any decisions today. And Courtney goes, we are getting out of here. And we just went out, we got the blood, I'm blind. I said, I'm out of here. And I'm sobbing and sobbing and sobbing. We rush back to the hotel, we grab the dogs, we call Marriott, we're checking out of this hotel. We get in the car, we book it back to Dallas, 4 hours straight. I was gonna see my good friend Johnny Green and his wife Deborah. We had this whole thing planned, and then no. Absolutely not. I'm out of here.
Despite the outcome that we all unfortunately know happened, she did seem like she might be considering chemotherapy at a certain point, although that changed once she got the results from that Greek test I mentioned earlier.
I'm gonna probably have to get super, super aggressive with some really nasty chemotherapy. So enjoy my really gorgeous, super thick black hair. I love my hair. But I love my life a lot more. I'm undecided because I'm waiting for the PET scan, the second CT to be read, and a Greek test, which is Thursday. So I'm not saying it's 100% the route I'm taking. I'm just saying, of course I'd have a super aggressive cancer. Why wouldn't I?
Like, let's be honest, and I'll say this, I think I've already said this, but I really do think that the Greek test holds the most responsibility for convincing Jessie Lee not to get chemotherapy. That's just my opinion. But if anyone wants to accuse me of demonizing anything, please accuse me of demonizing this test. I think that this Greek test is the worst thing that could have happened to Jessie Lee because it sold her false hope. I mean, let's be honest, no one wants to go through chemotherapy and radiation. It's brutal. So if you're going to shill out $2,500 for this blood test to tell you, oh, there's other options, it's like, no wonder she went with those. I'll admit that there's maybe some things that I don't know about the Greek test that maybe do make it a helpful tool in some situations, but in Jessie Lee's situation, it was not great. I wish she hadn't had it. If it's helped other people and like been a legitimate tool for their cancer treatments and stuff, that's great. In this situation, it did way more harm than good in my opinion. Anyway, now we're gonna get to her friends later in a different video, probably the next video, but I just want to point out how these people, the people that she held closest in her life, did not act in her best interest either. She was clearly surrounded by yes men, which again, you know, her body, her choice. But are you really gonna try try to tell us that not a single person in your life at one point or another thought, hey, what if these guys at MD Anderson, the most prestigious cancer treatment center in the country, hey, what if they're right? Like, at what point do you snap out of that denial and into reality? It makes sense for Jessie Lee because she's probably in denial and grieving the loss of her old life, but you have Courtney and Avi there who don't have that excuse. They enabled her this entire time. And you'll see in the video that I end up making about them that they really reap the benefits from her illness and death, but that's for the next video. I cannot stand these people. That's why I'm saving them for, like, the grand finale. Anyway, she also spent a lot of time in Germany receiving treatments. She says that this doctor gave her a 90% chance of beating this thing, which is a long shot from the truth that the doctors at MD Anderson tried to give her that she refused to accept.
I asked my doctor in Germany 2 weeks ago, because he was looking over my blood work, and Germans are very direct, okay? So he goes, disaster. I'm like, great, here we go. Right. And he didn't mean it in a bad way. He just said, don't worry, we can fix all of this, but it's a disaster. I said, okay. And I said, well, I have a question then. When you see other patients that their blood work is this bad, do they look like me?
Yeah.
Do they move like me? Because I'm not in pain. I'm not in any of these things. He goes, absolutely not. He said, but you have the strongest mindset I've ever met. And a lot of this health stuff is mindset over all of it. Yes, I have to treat all of it, but you have a belief system that you're going to win this. And a lot of people don't. And I told you earlier, I asked my doctor, hey, why are my lymph nodes a little swollen in my neck and my stomach feels like maybe? And he said, oh, I'm so excited, your immune system's kicking on. This is your immune system working again. I'm like, oh, that's what this is? Okay, because Google said for sure I'm a goner, you know?
I love this new guy, by the way, that you're working with.
The immune system is just every single marker. Mitochondria is not really functioning. Immune system's not functioning. And he's like, look, I'm not going to tell you any of this is good news. He's like, but I'm not worried about this. He's like, is it going to take 1-2 years to get all this out and cure you? Yes. But I'm not worried about it. If you listen to me 100%, this is done. And I love that the doctor in Germany says 90% chance of being cured. And I love that I genuinely am positive and I actually feel as great as I keep telling you I do. Every single treatment of which I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in Germany, they were 2,500 euros each time. So whatever that is, plus the labs, plus the IVs, plus the flights, plus all this stuff, hotels, food, you name it.
And it's hard to say how much money she spent at this German facility, but if you've just been diagnosed with a terminal illness and one doctor says there's a very high likelihood that you will make a recovery, we're talking 90% chance that you will walk away from this cancer-free. And then there's another doctor over here that says 2 years max to live, and then bye. No quality of life, bye-bye. Which one are you gonna believe? From a logical point of view, it's kind of just like, if it's too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. But I do get why Jessie Lee wanted to commit to the alternative treatments. Because what these quack doctors have done here is they didn't sell her a cure for cancer. They sold her false hope. They gave her a way out of chemotherapy and they made her believe that they could save her life when, hey, the real doctors and medical professionals, they can't do what we do. And they're just chemo pimps, right? Like, it makes sense why Jessie Lee bought into it. And these quack doctors knew that she would have no problem paying for whatever price tag they put on these false cures. Because she was scared and she wanted to save her life, but also didn't want to do chemo. Yeah, they capitalized on her fear. Hardcore. Treatments she received in Germany include acupuncture, detoxifying her plasma, apparently.
Is this comment for real? You want me to take dog dewormer? Dog dewormer. Y'all have taken this too far. Do you mean all this dog dewormer for the next 10 days here in Germany? And this Joe Tippins protocol, step 1, step 2, well, step 3 and step 2. Ow!
Vitamin C IV drips, and then the doctor told her that she needed to be on a full keto diet, which that didn't last for very long because she ended up going back to vegan a few weeks later, which, side note, I think is really interesting. That, like, she's so willing to believe what all of these alternative medicine people are saying to her, but she draws the line at her diet. She's just like, yes, what Quacky McQuackerson, Dr. Boy over there, is telling me all makes sense. Yes, everything he's telling me, I believe. and I believe it will help me cure my cancer. Oh, my diet? He doesn't know what he's talking about there. He's not a dietitian. What does he know? Like, why do you draw the line there? If you're gonna fully commit to treating cancer the way that these alternative medicine, holistic practitioner, naturopathic bullshit people, if you're gonna commit to everything that they say, like, commit to all of it. You can't just, at that point, just cherry pick shit. German doctor says I need acupuncture and detoxing my plasma. Yes. He also says I need to be keto. I don't believe him. Makes no sense. Her final attempt at healing from cancer before her death was allegedly at a place called Quantum 360, which is a wellness club in Malibu that is owned by one of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills' husband. I can't find much out about this place because they hardly update their Instagram, and maybe the website was just unexpectedly down while I was researching it, but like, I couldn't access the website at all. It was just broken and it wouldn't load, so that's sketchy. From what I can tell, she was receiving a treatment called Cell Sonic, which is apparently a non-invasive light and sound procedure that claims to heal the body from a cellular level. Definitely pseudoscience. She spent 2 weeks in Malibu getting whatever other treatments she got there, and then unfortunately passed away 2 weeks later. She basically spent the last few weeks of her life at this place, got home for a few days, got to say goodbye to her dogs basically, and then ended up at her final ER visit just a few days later. It's honestly tragic, and for someone who says that they wanted to spend whatever time they had left living and enjoying life, it just doesn't seem to be the reality that ended up happening for her. Some smaller honorable mentions that profited off of convincing Jessie Lee that she could cure her cancer holistically and without chemotherapy are people like Chris Beat Cancer and the Medical Medium. These two people have profited off of so many vulnerable people in their careers. At the very least, Jessie Lee says that she bought all of Chris's books, which there are 3 of them, and then he, alongside the Medical Medium, focused their content around nutrition and more specifically juicing. If you read Chris's blog post about juices that helped cure his cancer, you'll see a lot of the same language that Jessie Lee used while talking about juicing. And then the Medical Medium, if you didn't know, has written a bunch of books about the power of celery juice and claims that you can cure yourself of anything with the stuff. Side note too, I used to work with somebody who believed in the Medical Medium, and this is before I had my son, but I had had 2 miscarriages in between my daughter and my son, and she ended up sending me like screenshots of his ebook talking about how celery juice can help me have another child. Like, it was really messed up. I know she was just trying to help. Like, she truly did believe in this stuff because she had like a traumatic brain injury or something, and so not to say that like that influenced her intelligence. It was more so like she was just looking like she was chronically in pain and struggling all the time, so she was like looking to latch onto anything that would help, and she ended up latching onto the Medical Medium and then decided to try to get me on that celery juice shit, and I'm like, thanks but no thanks. So yeah, these celery juice people are wild. Anyway, I can't confirm exactly whose link Jessie Lee used to buy the $2,000 juicer that she was constantly peddling, but she had an affiliate code for it, and then she recommended it to others herself. So I wouldn't be surprised if this juicer came from one of those dudes' affiliate links somehow.
Now, if you're wondering why my teeth are red, I do juices at least 5 times a day. I'm trying to get to 13. And beets and ginger and turmeric and all that stuff. Juice get you loose. Now, y'all, I bought the best juicer on planet Earth. This juicer just won't quit. This juicer's so good that I juiced this much turmeric and I still don't taste it. This much ginger, I still don't taste it. All I taste is health.
And it was probably an easy sell for her, or any cancer patient for that matter, because the product description for this juicer says, Pure Juicer is a true 2-stage cold press juicer designed for optimal healing, nutrition, and yield. It's the recommended juicer for Gerson therapy, which is another holistic regimen that claims to be able to cure cancer through nutrition. It's something that Chris Beat Cancer talks about in his blogs about juicing. So, I mean, all the connections are there. Someone sold her this juicer. I would be willing to bet money on it. Somebody sold it to her and made money off of her buying it. Just my opinion, but come on. All in all, I saw people on Reddit speculating that she had spent over $500,000 in the end on alternative medical treatments and all of that. But that is simply speculation. I'm not sure where that number came from. You know, I couldn't find any itemized lists or anything, but if she spent $250,000 in the first 2 months, I think $500,000 in 8 months is absolutely plausible. But anyway, that's the end of this installment. The next video will probably be the final installment where we're going to be talking about Avi Ram, her boyfriend, her best friend, Courtney Shortney, aka Courtney Shepard. I think I have a whole section written about Kelsey Ray also, so maybe a few more honorable mentions in there. If you're still here and still listening, leave me a comment and let me know if I'm forgetting anybody. I know there's a lot of people in Jessie Lee's life that like minimally kind of capitalized on her passing. A lot of people got social media engagement out of it, but I feel like those 3 people that I named, Avi, Courtney, and Kelsey, were the 3 main contenders of people who I think benefited from this whole situation the most. And I know there are others, but can't include them all. So let me know if you think I'm forgetting somebody who needs to be profiled in that final video, and we will do that. Also, of course, huge thank you to Raycon for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget, click the link in my description box or the pinned comment below, or go to buyraycon.com/Savannah Marie to get 20% off of your Raycon purchase. Highly recommended. Oh yeah, plus free shipping. These boys are great. I think you'll love them. And before we end it here, guys, I just need to thank my patrons and my members. The list of names I'm about to name off are my financial supporters. They get access to things like our private Discord server. We have a postcard club and sometimes early access to videos. The last video I was able to give early access to, which was the first time in a few months, I'll admit, because sponsors and everything. But if I'm ever able to do it, you know, that's a perk sometimes, sometimes more than that. So if any of that sounds good to you, you can go to patreon.com/Savannah Marie, or you can click the join button beneath this video to join our YouTube memberships. Just whatever platform you want to join on works for me. And with that, guys, the biggest thank you in the whole wide world goes to Hula Chowdown, Jacqueline Nutton, Kessie Drew, KJ Barnes, Leanne, Sarah Simi, Caroline Reed, Daniel Urena, Maddie Darley, Ray, FPS Diesel, Martine Hubert, Love to Be Evil, Amber Price, Baby Pink Pearl, Alice Wagner, Carol Campbell, LaSalle Story, Mother Dragon 82, Fallon Lowry, Hannah, The Best Elephant, Jessica Billhart, Emion, and Auntie Lou. And to the rest of my financial supporters, thank you so much for being here and for being you. And even if you're not a financial supporter, thank you for making it to the end of this video, because YouTube loves watch time and more people will see my content when more people watch through my content. So thank you for just making it here. I'll see you guys for part 4 next, but until then, take care of yourselves and I'll see you later. Bye.